What is up, guys? It's the girl here, Paul Maverick, and I have a movie review. So, this movie was suggested by both a new automation and Manny. Hey, guys, thank you so much. And the movie they recommended was called Jabim, which is Victory to Bhim. It is based on a true story of a lawyer who who basically defended this couple over being framed for a crime that they did not do. This took place in 1993, and basically it was about how a man who was framed for doing a crime that he did not do, even though, there was evidence against him, but really there wasn't any. So basically, it starts off as the accused, the husband. He is a man who's like in pest control, from getting rid of mice, venom and snakes, things like that. He is then called to do a job at for a client who happens to be rich. So he does the job, everything seems to go well, and then the next day the wife is basically makes a report that things of hers have been stolen. And the last person who was in the house was, the guy, the husband. So a report has been filed and police go to his house. Meanwhile, he left early for a job. He left early for work. He's in outside of town. What ends up happening is that they go in the house to find evidence, and they brutally beat and detain his wife, who happens to be pregnant. On top of that, they arrest his brother-in-law, they arrest his brother and sister, and to make matters worse, they get arrested. Not only they get arrested, they get tortured for a confession to figure out where the guy went. When reality was he was at work. He doesn't know what's going on. As far as he knows, he's at work. He thinks everything's going well, back at home. He doesn't know anything about the burglary report. And when he does come back, he gets, he gets arrested and brutally tortured for him to confess for a crime that he didn't do. Things get crazy, and then I guess a teacher, a friend of his, because this is within like the community, within the tribe, I should say. He hears about this crime and finds out, okay, there's one guy, and this guy is named Chanduru, who is a magnificent lawyer who is a defense lawyer within the tribe. So whenever the tribe has an issue, a legal issue, he is the man to call to. So the friend goes up to the lawyer and tells him, "Hey, this is what happened. This is what's going on." So he then feels like, you know what, I gotta take this case. So he goes to the higher court because he wants to take this case to court, and he wants to go to a higher court. But the higher court is telling him to take this to a lower court because, it doesn't seem like it fits, it doesn't seem to fit within what we need. Then then he suggests he's doing a habeas corpus. Now, habeas corpus, I think I said that right, is a legal term for when, even though the accused or the prisoner isn't doing the case, someone from the outside who is with them can do it on their behalf. So, for example, during this time, the pregnant wife was, in fact, she was let go after they caught the husband. And this time, she notices that few inmates have escaped. When she does say something about it, they tell her to shut her mouth or else she will be arrested. So she goes, tells them what's going on. And that's how the court, because it's on her behalf of her husband, she's doing the case on his behalf. That is what they're doing. They're doing a habeas corpus. Again, they say, well, that's kind of weird. I think you should take it to a lower court. He says no, and he cites a case that happened years ago. In this case, I did some reading. Basically, in this case, a young man died in the custody of cops. And I His remains have yet to be found, and I believe the cops who were the cause of his death were charged, I believe. All I know was that he died in custody for a crime he didn't do. And seeing how that kind of gave the high court a black eye, goes, all right, we'll let you have it. And he says, I want to have a witness examination. I want to talk to the witnesses, which isn't really necessary in that type of trial. But he wants to know, okay, what really went on? Who are these witnesses? Why are they saying what they're saying? Let's see what we can do. So he calls in the witnesses. He calls in the police officers. He's trying to get everything, in motion to figure out what is going on. So as he's trying to figure out, he notices there's a lot of gaps within the witness's story. So the cops are saying that we called so-and-so, basically, the guy escaped and he gets killed, things like that. So he's starting to see, hey, this doesn't sound right. This doesn't sound right. During the course of the case, a group of friends end up finding the husband's body, and they end up cremating him. Basically, it was taking pictures. They took pictures of the guy because they didn't know who he was. It was a John Doe, an unknown man. So basically, Chidari talks to the coroner or the pathologist to ask him what happened. How did he die? From your report and from the pictures, what happened? So basically, the pathologist said that he did die of massive, broken ribs. He died of broken ribs. And not only that, there are tire marks. Basically, they said that there's a possibility that he may have got hit by a car, and that there just so happens to be tire marks on him and so forth. Doesn't believe it. He's not going to dismiss it, but he doesn't feel like that is, the real cause of death. He escaped. I don't think he got hit by a car on the way. I think this was a cover-up. As the case continues, it is later found out that he did die in custody. The three policemen in charge of him, went and dumped him there and made it look like he got run over to cover up their tracks. Well, he finds the tire tracks, and he finds shoe prints that match the shoes that a group of the police officers are. One police officer comes and says, I mimic the voice of this person to call this guy. Another guy, they all did pre-jury. He feels that the lawyer feels like pre-jury was done. And perjury. There we go. Perjury, not pre-jury. Perjury. Perjury is a legal term used when someone lies under oath. And he from the beginning felt like they're doing perjury. This is not okay. So they all confess, and he gets the timestamps of when the call was placed, where it was, and so forth, and presents it to the judge, and they are lying. The other defense attorney tries to go, oh no, they didn't lie, blah, blah. Basically, it falls down in his face. So in the end, with everything, with all the evidence, from the gaps in the story. Oh, and also, because he also interviewed the prisoners, the brother-in-law, the brother and the sister, going, what happened? What was going on in there? Can you tell us what happened on the inside? I believe the sister came out and said they took bribe money from the actual thief. And that's hence why they framed him, to make it look like the brother, her older brother, the husband of the pregnant wife. I don't know their names. Usually I write them down, but I was afraid I was going to butcher them. But basically what ends up happening was that they saw, so their witness account is doing more, is giving more leeway to the case, rather than the bad guys, rather than the corrupted cops. In the end, the corrupted cops are found guilty. They are arrested. As an award, what happens is the pregnant wife is given a settlement for her troubles. The same thing with the brother-in-law, the sister, and the brother for grounds. The case is won, justice is served. And Chidari is not Chidari. Chandaru. I know I'm butchering his name. In the end, he is celebrated. They are thanked. Each of them thank him, and he just happens to go to the housewarming party of the wife. Basically, the husband's dream was to buy a house for him, an inauguration, or a housewarming party, because the husband always wanted to get his wife a house. That's what he was striving for, and he was there to see through it, to help that dream come true. And yeah, it was a good movie. I wish it didn't. There were some parts that I felt kind of dragged a bit. There were some parts where I kind of felt like, okay, we understand, we get it. Can you get to the point? But all in all, it was good. How would I rate it? I would give it a 7. I am going to give it a 7. Because again, this was a good movie. I do like movies where it's based on a true stories, because what happened here in this story happens a lot, unfortunately. Sadly, it happens a lot. It's not even funny. You have corrupted cops. You have people, that's thinking that they are entitled to do what they want. The whole do what you want with the badge and get away with it. Do whatever you want with the badge and get away with it kind of thing. And honestly, no matter what place in the world you are, there is going to be corruption. Where there is money, where there's politics, where there's anything, there is going to be corruption. And in this case, and then this happens. Good people do get framed for things that they didn't do. The guy was outside of town. The real thief took jewelry from that place, bribed the cops so that he wouldn't get arrested. Someone had to be the fall guy, and the poor guy, the husband, was the scapegoat. But this was a good movie. I'll give it a 7. Despite it, there were times where it dragged. There were times where it just, okay, can you guys get to the point already? But it was a good movie. I did enjoy it. I'll give it a 7. I'm going to give it a 7. So, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much, Anu and Manny. I appreciate this request. Like I said, I did like it, and I'll give it a 7. And, hope you guys have a wonderful day, and be safe out there, okay, guys? Bye.